if you are a taxi driver, you park your car somewhere. So whatever that we do have a real estate component to it. And there are different forms of real estate investments. It comes in different shapes, forms, and sizes. So to each and their own. You have to identify whatever is of interest to you and whatever fits your forte, and then you can invest in that aspect. So there are commercial properties. There are commercial properties where it is more so for commercial events or commercial activities. So you could build stores and then rent it out, right? And you have location is always key. That I think it goes without saying. If you aren't here for really real estate investment, you've heard this too many times. Real estate is all about location, location, location. So location is very key. So you have to look at where the traffic is going, where the traffic is, and what was sold in that area. If there's a need for stores, why not? So when it comes to commercial, there's the stores, there are restaurants, and right now there are different forms of restaurants that are coming up. Those days where we used to have the big restaurants with the diner and then all of that. Right now, smaller spaces are being converted to restaurants. If you go to a place like East Legon, and not to mention some restaurant names, it's really small, if not extremely small. It's just like the size of a one bedroom, right? Yet they are running a full restaurant in there, maybe a sitting area for two, if that. Because most people are taking away, most people are doing delivery. So you don't need a huge space to be able to run a restaurant. Also, banks. So right now they are having more satellite banks in different places. So gone are the days where we had Ghana Commercial Bank with a huge branch in Accra, Newtown. That is what I used to bank. So gone are those days, and then you go and queue, especially around the end of the month for hours on end. Now they have a lot of satellite branches where it is like very small in an area, an upcoming area, to make it easily accessible to the people. So you can target any of these and then build to suit and then target them to rent to them. The other thing also is apartments, or what, especially in the States, we call condominiums, either or, right? So you can do apartments, you can do condominiums, you rent them out depending on the location. Some locations are more profitable for rent, some are more profitable, I mean, long lease when I say rent.
Mm-hmm.
And then some are also more profitable for short stay. So you have to just know your location. And I'll keep talking about location. You have to know your location and then
About.
fits the area. So that is that. And the other thing is also single family homes. So single family could be either a semi-detached or detached, right? Or it could be a duplex, a triplex, whatever it is. So you could
Yeah.
build any of these and rent them out.
Yeah.
And it is a good market. It is a good market. The other
Hello?
thing is that Daniel? Daniel Misa.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay,
Mute,
thank
mute.
you.
Mhm.
Uh, the other thing also is residential properties, right? So the question, as Oba kept asking, why Ghana? And I kept asking, why that? So here's the thing. She just unmuted and left. Auntie Anne.
Miss Ann, please mute your microphone, please. Mute it, and then you can come on when you need to speak, if you can mute it. Thank you.
Okay. So residential properties, there are different reasons why people still build houses in Ghana. Some will argue the fact that I live in the States or I live in Europe, why should I go build a house in Ghana? And then it will be like a funeral home. I'll be here spending a lot of money. But here's the thing though. There are some people that do not want to go to Ghana and be staying with family. Neither do they want to stay in an Airbnb because probably they go so often and they go for extended period of time. They may be going with their families. So it's still worth it for them to build a single family, decent size, right? I'm not talking about the one building on a 4 acre kind of thing. But if that also rocks your boat, please feel free because everybody have their pleasure center. But then most of the time, these are some of the reasons why people still build single family when they are not even residing permanently in Ghana. The other reason also is I'm nearing retirement and I don't want to retire, get home, and I don't have a place to stay of my own, right? I've lived outside the country for so many years. I don't want to go back. And then it seems like, one kobo bra. So then I need to get something. But here's the thing though. Traditionally, our fathers and grandfathers or grandparents used to build when they were not nearing retirement. And they don't go often either. So understandably, Oba will ask that, then why would you build and let it sit? But there has been different reasons why they did it. Now, there is also a good reason why you can still build when you are now going every so often, or we are not even near retirement. And one is this: the land prices will keep appreciating, and value for commodities will keep rising. So it is better to have it sooner so that you beat inflation, and then you can always have your thing when you go back. That is one. Two, you can always use it for commercial business, right? So we're talking about real estate investment. So that is why I'm moving it from having a private home to using it as an investment property. So you can use it as an investment property, make some money from it whilst you still have your dream home. And then when it's time for you to go, you've made some money from it, you go, you enjoy your property, and live happily thereafter. So that is also a good reason why people are doing it now. Then also there is the industrial properties, and that is a bit different from the commercial properties. So the industrial properties are more so like warehouse, right? Or you could build like a huge industry where people can come in, rent the space for you, and then decide whether to use it for shoe manufacturing or whatever it is. But the once again, location is key. So you have to identify the location, probably target certain prospective customers, talk to them, see their interest, gather your information, do your research before you get into that. When it comes to real estate, there is the land and then there's the property on the land. Getting the land itself is tedious, difficult, and all that. It's still stagnant, right? But you can always change whatever you want to do with it. But once you put the property on it, there's a song that says, until you come to the States or some other parts of the world, then you realize that we can easily put it behind the track and then we'll be moving it. But in Ghana, what we build with the concrete and everything, it's not going anywhere. So before you really build, be sure that this is what you really want to do. Because if you build a warehouse and it's not moving, then you have to convert it and make it into something else, which really makes it more difficult. So now, back to the question. Why invest in Ghana? Why Ghana? Out of all the places, I live in the United States, so why should I go invest in Ghana? And I'll give you some numbers. I'll try not to be too specific so that if it varies from yours, I don't throw you off so much. But here's the thing. There are over 2 million deficits in housing, right? Housing deficits in Ghana. And this is when Asai Subuachi was the minister, and it still holds true today, and it will hold true in the next 4 or 5 years' time, right? People will tell me that, oh, but I always see buildings coming up. I always also see people coming to Ghana. I always see kids being born. What is the median or average age of the Ghanaian population? Do anyone know? If not, it's less than 30, right? So if it's less than 30, definitely less than 30, but I think it's around 25 or low 20s. So if it's that, then you have to just do the math. These people are now going to be married. Right now, you wouldn't want to give birth as many as my parents did. So you're doing 2 and 3. So if you're doing 2 and 3, and then you do the math, you realize that very soon, all of these people are also going to need houses. So the deficit is always going to be there. And business is always about demand and supply, right? So if there is a demand for something and then you supply what the people need, they will pay you for it and then take the service. So there's always going to be that deficit. And then there was a time where the government was calling on churches and individuals to assist in bridging the gap in the deficit. So those individuals, one of them is you. The good thing about traveling outside, or if you live in the country and then you may good amount of money is to invest. Savings will just depreciate your money. So investment is always a good choice. And then land economy and land management is also another thing, right? So the way we manage our lands, if you have the big pocket and then you go in for acres of land and then you develop a city, you manage it much better and then your appreciation is much higher, right? And then one good thing also about Ghana, why invest in Ghana is relatively has a stable political landscape, right? And then we will always talk about what is wrong about our land management in Ghana, documentation, double seal, and all of that. But then relatively, if you look at the landscape in West Africa, we have one of the good ones, right? So it makes it a viable option. And then if you're also from Ghana, then why not? The other thing also is the appreciation of property prices, starting from land to buildings, right? I always tell my friends that one thing that gravity does not affect is property prices in Ghana. Gravity does not affect it, right? Everything that goes up will surely come down. Property prices always goes up. I've never seen it come down. I'm not the oldest on this platform, neither am I the youngest though, but I may be one of the youngest. But one thing I've seen in my life is that I've never seen a property price come down in Ghana, no matter what happens. Maybe after the 83. But outside of that, it's always been on the rise, always. So you cannot go wrong. And no matter where you buy, it will still appreciate. But the thing is, how fast will they appreciate? And I'll get to that very soon. The other thing also is you've had the privilege to travel outside. For most of us, we see it as a privilege. So I think I'll be safe to say that. We have the privilege to travel outside. We've made some money, right? And then we want to also give back. So I mentioned earlier, everybody have a reason for doing what they do. For some people, it is merely for the fact that I'm able to employ people in my locality, people in my country, right? So if even the margins is not the biggest, it is still good for me. And I'm very satisfied doing that, right? So it comes with the intangible satisfaction that you get doing it. So that could also be a reason. So now, let's get to diagram and then let's get to some illustrations. So follow me here. Follow me here.
So we're ready. We're ready to follow you. We're following you, Pa.
Yeah, follow me here. Just in case you're getting up to get water, please hold on. And I'm going to show you something. And this is true most places in the world and definitely in Greater Accra, Ghana. I know Accra very well. I'm not too much of a Kumasi person. So if you ask me questions about Kumasi, Takrady, I don't know too much. Any other place in Ghana, I don't know too much when it comes to the real estate landscape. But Accra, I'm more than comfortable to answer any question that you have. Okay. So now you see this map, right? Or this diagram on the screen. It is the Greater Accra region is divided into four, right? Or the Accra Central. And I'm not talking about the Makolo area. When I say Accra Central, the main Accra is divided into four sides, right? So now we have the northern belt, which is towards Kumasi, from Achimota to Kumasi. So now I'm using these two roads. The road from the Accra Aflao Road through Takrady. No, from Takrady to Aflao, right? So it goes through Kaswa. Now I'm bringing it to Accra. So that's why I said follow me. It goes through Kaswa, then comes to Weja, then Malam, then, Kadeshi, all of that, La Paz, right? And then it comes all the way to Tetekwashi. So that is what I'm using now. So now the intersection that I'm using is where that road meets the one that comes from Accra towards Achimota. So the Achimota overhead, right, is the center. The Achimota overhead is the center where the one that N6 meets the N1, but then most people don't know about those names. But where the La Paz Road going towards Accra meets the one from Accra towards Insawon, right? So that is the intersection. Now, with that being said, you realize that there is so now I'm going to use going towards Accra, right, as my center point. So south. So you realize that to the right, then you have La Paz, you have Weja, you have McCarthy Hill, you have Millennium City, you have Kaswa, right? So if you go into Accra, you meet that intersection to the right, there are those. Then you also go more south, and then there are the traditional areas, and I will talk about that in a minute. Then to the left, you have the Jolu, Roman Ridge, Cantonment, right? And then East Legon, and then Ajegano. Then it goes towards Tema, okay? Then you could add the Apollonia, Dodowa, all of that. Then you also come down, and then to the right, you have Achimota, you have Tantra, you have Ofanko, you have the rest to the right, right? Still coming from Insawam, those on your right. Then on your left, you have Taifa, you have Ashoman, you have all of those also on your left, okay? So now, this is the thing when it comes to real estate investments in Ghana and location. So there are some prime areas in Ghana. Those areas are Sikampe, right? Those areas are extremely expensive, but you don't hear of them so much in the media and all of that. If you're looking for properties for sale, you usually don't find properties in cantonment except for these new high rises that they're building, right? Either cantonment, Roman Ridge, airport area 37, they know those who buy, so they don't advertise to us. Some of you may be one of them. So they don't advertise to people like me, right? So they advertise straight to their target market, and then there are always properties selling in those areas, but then they don't advertise to the public. And those are the very prime areas of Accra, the airport areas, where somebody is renting, but then the lease is, okay, I'm not going into that. Roman Ridge, 37, if you got it, you got it. If you did not get it, forget it. I'm not repeating. Osu, Laboni, and Cantonment, right? These areas are the very expensive areas. Then we come to the eastern part, right? The left side I was talking about, where past like East Legon, right? The landlady of East Legon recently opened her unit. Congratulations to her. So East Legon, Ajegano, University Farms, which is now Boteman area. Do you guys know that we have an Olympic stadium in Boteman? If you don't know, look it up. No? Oh man, then you will do my. So there's been a wave of development. Now let me pause on this and then explain that area a little bit. East Legon itself is very expensive, right? It compares to some of the areas in the prime areas, right? So now those of us who cannot afford the East Legon is becoming more and more. So the environs around East Legon is also quickly appreciating. Definitely not as expensive as East Legon, but then it's quickly appreciating. So places like Adregano, the Boteman area, East Legon Hills, right? These three, and I'll come to the other three very soon. These three are quickly appreciating in price, and there's a wave of development going to that area. In the last 5 years, the East Legon Hills Road has been done. It was commissioned, I think this month will be 2 or 3 years, from School Junction to Gate, right? Then after that, they did from Gate. If you know the area, you will know. If you don't know, please just, the point I'm trying to make is that they are developing the roads in those areas. They did the Olympic Stadium in Boteman. So the last African Olympic Games that they did, that is where they held it. And then some was also done at the Legon Stadium, right? And then after that, there have been huge estates that are also coming into those areas, the Boteman, East Legon Hills, Ajegano area. So if you heard of Sambra City, right? They are building that around the Boteman area. If you've also heard about those that did Ayi Mensa Park, Oyarifa Park, right?
Mhm.
I forgot the name of the company itself, but they developed these two places. They are also going to develop in that area, right? Then East Legon Hills is right there. There's a lot of stuff going on there. So these three places are quickly appreciated because right now it's like 10 minutes and then you are in East Legon, the heart of East Legon. So now that is the Eastern corridor. Then you can add Adenta, Oyarifa, Dodowa, right? Oyarifa is also one that is really appreciated relatively faster. And then the but because it's in the Eastern region, but due to the convenience and the proximity, you can easily add that. Then the other part also is the Tantra or Achibota, Tantra, Taifa, all the way to Kutuse, right? After that, you're actually Kutuse technically is still in the Eastern region. But once again, due to proximity, we always consider that you're part of Accra. So, and that part. Then the other part also is the Western corridor towards McCarthy Hills, Waja, Millennium City, and the rest. Here is the thing. As you see it, so are the prices. The prime areas are the most expensive. The Eastern corridor follows, the Northern corridor follows, and then the Western corridor. But here's the thing. One may argue that there is nowhere on the Northern corridor that will be more expensive than the prime areas, than the NC, right? And hardly would you find anywhere in the Northern corridor that would be as expensive as the Eastern corridor, right? But then between the Eastern corridor and the Northern corridor and the Western corridor, it could be that the closer you are, of course, La Paz will be more expensive than Kutusi. Though generally, if you look at that geographical area, generally, that area is more expensive than this area, right? So if you buy it and you can afford, and depending on what you're going to use it for, who you want to attract and what you want to sell and all of that, you want to consider where you want to develop. Location, location, location. So let me give you an example. If I have $200,000 and I just want the land, you're not looking for a building, just the land. Then you could go around the East Legon, Adregano. If you're lucky, you get one. But then if maybe I want 200,000 and I want to get land and probably also develop, then I could come to the other parts like hills. Hills you may get, but you may not be able to develop with the same amount, depending on which part of hills also. And then Adenta, Oyarifa, Dodowa, you could maybe buy, develop, and all of that. Tantra towards Kutunse, you could, right? McCarthy, yes. So the point I'm making is that depending on how much you have, what you really want to do, the target market that you have, and all of that will influence which part of Accra you want to develop. What I'm just doing is just giving you the information as to the areas and what is out there, right? Around how much are we talking about? Okay, let me finish with this and then I'll get to the questions. So once again, about why Ghana? Ghana, the value appreciates so fast without a shadow of doubt. You buy and it will go up, no gravity. So as I mentioned, the third class, second class, first class. If you look at the graph, right? Everywhere we appreciate, and I think I've said this more than 2 or 3 times, everywhere we appreciate, but the rate of appreciation. And let me give you an example. And please, I'm only giving you these examples for you to really understand what I'm saying. It's not just to declare my assets. I don't work for the government for me to declare my assets. If you didn't get that joke, forget it. Because nowadays, Mama said every government employee should declare the assets. That's how I said that. So in 2017, I was looking for land to buy. I grew up in Ofanko, Dansoman and Ofanko, right? And I had an opportunity to buy land at East Legon Hills in 2017. So when my friend told me, I was like, Nana, East Legon Hills, I'm not familiar with that place. And I heard it's muddy and all that. Like the roads were really not more trouble. It wasn't nice. And then I also had the opportunity to buy at Asofan, which is very next to Ofankor. So that is my comfortable zone. And the prices were just about the same. It was $20,000 for 2 plots at Hills, $20,000 for 2 plots at Asofan. So I decided to go for the one at Asofan because that is what I was comfortable with. That was 2017. In 2019, 2020, late 2019, early 2019, I happened to go to East Legon Hills with my senior brother. Then he showed me around. Then I was like, oh, this place is really nice. So that was January of 2019. I went back in May to Ghana, and then I went there by myself, both places, to look around. Now, when I went in January and May, looking at the development that was going on, I realized that that place was going faster than the Asofan area. Okay, so I decided to sell the land that I bought in Asofan, $20,000 for 2 plots, so that I could come to Hills and then buy. Now, this is where the kicker is. When I came to Hills, when I sold those 2 at Asofan, I could not buy one at Hills. It had appreciated. It had. Like, I bought it for 20, I sold it for $32. 32,000, not 32. Sure, gravity near So $32,000, right, is what I sold it for. But when I came to Hills, even where the guy was selling to me for 20,000, at that point it was around $50,000 per plot. So I had to go a bit further to get one plot for 35. Right now it's going for 60, 70,000 in those areas, right? So that is the point I'm trying to make with this. Anywhere that you buy, it will appreciate. The rate of appreciation is very different dependent on the location and what is going on in the area. So now let's look at this right here. If it's clear enough, you will see that it's numbered, right? 0, 1 to 10. And it will tell you, unfortunately, I was trying to look for the most updated graph or prices when it comes to these areas, but there's the most recent one that I found was the 2018-2019 comparison. You don't have data releases in Ghana. So you realize that now look at the right side. You notice all of the arrows are pointing up. None of them came down, regardless of the area. But then you realize that the prices, the price appreciation had always been significant. And one thing that I can tell you for now is that some areas have overtaken others, right? Like East Legon Hills is selling much faster. Is someone trying to show us something? East Legon Hills is now selling much faster and much more expensive than Oyarifa by far, right? So that, and then Airport Hills is also relatively, that one you can argue between Airport Hills and then East Legon, you can argue. But then those ones on the left, from 1 to 4 and 5, or maybe
Mr.
6.
Would you be able to play the slides?
Play? Which one do you see?
Right now I'm looking at the average cost of land.
Yeah, that's what I'm on.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, that's what I'm on. Okay. So I was making a point that if you look at the first one, right, on your left, the North Ridge, Roman Ridge, Cantonment, Laboni, East Legon, Airport Hills, those ones are still leading by far. And you remember I mentioned about the prime areas and the various corridors, right? So those ones are still leading by far. And then definitely East Legon Hills, I can tell you for a fact that it's overtaking Oyarifa by far. It may be competing with Sprinters. If not, I will be safe to say that it's probably overtaking Sprinters. Sprinters, no, I'll still give it to Sprinters over Hills, but Hills is definitely appreciating. So the point I'm making is that, one, if you look at the arrows, you realize that it's one-way direction. It's all going up. And I'm talking about the arrows by the 2019 figures, right? One caveat or one other thing that you probably would love to know is that Okay, let me do this. Okay, is this better?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. One thing that you probably also would love to know is that most places where it is sold in dollars, you would notice that your appreciation is also faster and is also not affected much by the depreciation of the cities. So this is what I mean. If I'm going to buy a land in Kaswa, and let me not be on Kaswa people. Let me pick somewhere else. If I'm going to buy a land in, let's say, Kutunse for 100,000 Ghana cedis, right?
Mm-hmm.
In about 2 years' time, definitely it will appreciate. But then they may still be selling in cedis. So it may have appreciated to maybe 200,000 Ghana cedis. But due to the depreciation of the cedis, then it may not be worth, let's say, about the equivalent of 10,000. It may not be worth $20,000 because of the depreciation of the city. So it may be like 17,000, right? Or 15,000. But then if you buy it in the areas where it's sold in dollars, then it will always be selling in dollars.
I'm laughing because there's an area where you can buy in and it can accrue in cities, and there's an area in another section of town that you can pay in dollars. There's, it's not sounding well to my ear from a country where we're Ghanaians. So why should there be such a difference?
There's nothing fair in this world, Oba. There's nothing like fairness. But here's why? Because this is partly why. Those in the areas that sell in dollars typically trade with people outside the country.
Okay.
So it's mostly convenient for both parties.
Okay.
Really, that's what it comes down to.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Because if I'm selling in an area where I'm mostly dealing with people outside the country, and I tell you that, oh, it's 500,000 Ghana cedis, and then you go to do like 3 months installment or 6 months installment, right? And then the exchange rates and all of that for you outside, it even becomes confusing for you. Because last time you had me pay this, and then today I'm paying X. So let's stick to one currency that we both comfortable with, and then we save, right? So once again, arrows, one way, no gravity. Two, certain areas will always appreciate more than others. Certain areas did not even show up on the graph and count. So the other thing is, now this is a data by Aquesta, and they do real estate in Ghana. And it will show you the left one is where people were looking for more in terms of rent, right? And then when it comes to the right one, it is more in terms of buying, right? In terms of buying. So now, if you look at it, you realize that when it comes to rent, other neighborhoods are leading in terms of where people want to rent. But then when it comes to buying, other neighborhoods are last. Does that make sense? So places like Pokwase, Weja, Millennium City, Kutuse, Magira, Sapema, right? People would want to rent more in those areas, but not necessarily buy properties, especially buildings, houses.
Okay.
Right? But then you realize that East Lagos, that is why they are the landlord of Accra. They are always at the top. So whether rent, when it comes to rent, they are second. When it comes to buying, they are first. So, but then the data may be a little skewed in my opinion because, as I said earlier, there are some areas that they don't advertise much as to, when they are selling. Places like Cantonment, Roman Ridge, those areas, except for those high-rise buildings. Traditionally, they know how they sell and they always sell. So that may affect the data. But places like East Legon Hills, when it comes to buying, that's what I'm referring to now. So the data on the right. So East Legon Airport, Spintex, Tema, East Legon Hills Cantonment. And right now, if you like, take about a week to research into trying to buy a house in Ghana. You realize that there are much more properties from East Legon Hills on the market. And trust me, it's not that they are just sitting on the market, they are selling. I was in Ghana, what month is it? February. I was in Ghana in October, and I went to see one of these, they're not content creators, but they saw builders, right? They saw real estate on YouTube. So I went to see one of them, and then we did a tour. And then I was asking him, why don't you post about these areas? And he was like, boss, so what to the and say, oh, posti hana honey better no posti honey and to I don't be posting more. I was like, okay, question answered. So there is much more on East Legon Hills on the market because that area is selling much faster. East Legon is West Trasaco, Ajigano, those areas are really selling faster. So once again, I was mentioning earlier, depending on what you want to do. So if you want to build to rent, this may help you decide where you want to build. If you want to build for short let, it may also influence your decision because there are some areas, everywhere will have a market when it comes to short let, just as rental, just like buy, but it's the demand and supply. So it will help you also decide. Then let's look at this. Man, whoever drew that red line, but still you can see, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about why invest in Ghana. I think this is where Oba is mostly interested in. And I'll give you an example. Last year, I was looking at investing in real estate here with a fund. And here are the numbers. If you invest $100,000, your ROI is 7%, which is fairly good. If you invest $300,000, your ROI, which is return on investment, is 10%, right? So very good. Then I was having a discussion with the fund manager and all of that, and I asked him this question, not to say that I had the money to invest, it was just for my research purposes. Then I asked him the question, what about, so for $300,000, what about if I could invest somewhere else and have a return of maybe 15 to 20%? He was like, dude, then go for it. I was like, okay, thank you. So now to the return on investment, the ROI. And this is considering locations, right? Different locations. Remember, I gave you a quadrant, so 4 places. In this case, I just picked 3 to make it easier. So a place where land is selling for $15,000, you can just put in any location of your choice. For you to build something decent and be able to rent, right? Let's say a 6-unit, 2-bedroom apartment. And then you want to do something nice, decent to attract the people. It might cost you maybe 200 to 250,000. Please, I'm just using numbers. And these are like realistic numbers, right? I know how it's done. So, but then what I'm saying is that don't tell me that your architect told you it was 250 and 200. Therefore, this is too expensive, or your architect told you 300. Therefore, he's trying to cheat you because Philip said it's 250. That is what I'm saying for what it's worth. So a place land costing 15,000, you build with 250,000, you start renting for maybe 1,500. Okay, that becomes 118,000. And if you do the math at that time, the rate was like 12, and then it comes out to like 9,000 a year. The point I'm getting to is it will take you like 30 years to break even. It's just like buying a mortgage here in the States, right? You pay over 30-year period. So about even in that case, it's still okay, right? 30 years, 30 years. That will also definitely appreciate America, depending on what is going on. Trump will say one thing and then everything will crash. Or he will say one thing and everything will go up. So there's that volatility. Ghana is one-way street.
Okay.
Scenario number 2, in terms of location. If you buy a land where a land is costing about $50,000, right? Which means that the level of development and everything, you may build exactly the same thing over there, But the thing is that because of the location and kind of people that you want to attract, you may want to add one or two few things to the finishing, right? Therefore, let's add 50,000 to it, 300,000, and then we rent for $3,000, right? Sorry, 3,000 Ghana cedis. Then you will be averaging about 18,000 a year, and then you take you 20 years to break even. Then case scenario number 3, an area where land is costing $200,000, you build for about 350 once again because of the finish you want to add. And in those areas, definitely you can rent in dollars and not cedis. But you may not like it, but
let me interject a bit. Looking at this, these numbers that you just put up. Right now, you said location, location, location. I'm a realtor here in the States. I am a licensed realtor. So I kind of have a big, I have an idea of how real estate works here in the States. When it comes to Ghana, now you're looking at land alone. I'm looking at case number 3. Land alone costing $200,000. This is not cities, dollars. And I'm using $350,000 to build it. Now, let's look at the rent. Rent is $1,000. Who are we renting these properties to? Are they, I'm playing a devil's advocate right now.
That's perfectly fine. But
who are we renting these properties
people are rented all the time.
And is this monthly or is this yearly? Because from what I know, I believe Ghana, people say utia in advance, like, you pay for several years or something.
1 year.
Yeah, is this the same thing too? I mean, are these like $1,000 monthly? And how would one be guaranteed or that they have there's land available in these lucrative areas?
So now your question is what, twofold or three?
Twofold and three. Break it all down.
Right. So are you surprised that people are buying for this much or people are renting for this much?
Let's start with it. Because I'm not sure how many young professionals or how many people work in Ghana to be able to afford $1,000. Just I'm being ignorant. Maybe I'm ignorant, but just explain it, please.
Okay. And I love the phrase I use, the devil advocate. So I'll use the angel's message, right? So now, no, on a serious note, people are buying lands for more than $200,000 for a 70 by 100 for more than $200,000 or thereabouts, easily. Okay. As to who is buying, including Ghanaians both in Ghana and outside Ghana. Now, we sometimes ask, oh, the average Ghanaian cannot afford. Not everything is for the average person. Let's understand that. As you rightly said, you're a realtor here in the state. But there are certain neighborhoods. If I come, what state are you in?
I'm in Massachusetts. I'm licensed in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, yes.
So if I come to Mass and I'm telling you that I want to buy a property in Massachusetts, there are certain neighborhoods that looking at me, Philip, you not take me to. Because it is not for people like me.
Says who? It's all about the money.
Because I don't have it. People like me, I don't have it. That's the point I'm making.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So not everywhere is for everyone.
Yes.
That is a statement of fact. It's unfortunate, but yes, it's true. There are certain areas here in Cincinnati, Ohio, like I will not go and ask how much is the property price. I can't afford. It's just that simple, right? So we can always argue, and not just you, because I've heard this so many times. It's too expensive. The average person, who are you renting it to? But those houses are always occupied. They are always rented. And if you are surprised that there's a place where 2 bedrooms is rented for $1,000, then let me surprise you some more to tell you that some even rent for $3,000 plus.
AJ, in Ghana.
Every single month. Yes, in Ghana, West Africa.
Location, location, location.
That is what it comes down to. 100%. And people are renting. There are some places where for a short stay, one night, 1 bedroom is going for $30 a night. Some places probably going to be 25.
Wait. Rewind. You said $30K a month?
No,
for
no,
renting?
$30. $30
$30.
a
Oh,
night.
okay.
I'm talking about short stay now, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Some places, one bedroom, $30 a night. In some places, also in Accra, a studio is going for $200 a night. And it's getting full.
Really?
But you should get
Is
surprised. It's
is this year round?
right.
Because do you think say it has something to do with like the peak seasons, like the rental? Is it during the summer? Is it more Christmas? Is it, because
When it comes to the short term, yes. But
once
when it
those
comes
peak,
to
oh,
like
slow.
long lease, it has no season.
Okay.
Because if I'm renting for $1,000 a month and I'm renting for 12 months, it's 1,000 times 12. I take my money, right? So
Yeah.
yes, you're right. There are some places where the average right now is 1 year lease that you pay together, right? And even with that, we are still paying service fee, and we are still paying. Like it's working. System no year 24/7.
But location. Is it
Location
working all around? It's just specific location. And like you said, not everybody can afford these prime locations. So
is working all around. Not, I'm not saying all around $1,000 everywhere in Accra. No, it's
right.
working all around, as in wherever you build and rent, you will get people to rent for whatever it's worth in that area.
Okay.
That is working all around. So whether the $5,000 a month area or the 500 Ghana cedis a month area, it is working all around. Okay. So the point I was making with this is that you could go somewhere that is relatively more expensive if you really could afford and break even faster on your return on investment, right? So, but yes, it may be expensive in East Legon, but then my returns will be much higher. So if I can afford, once again, affordability and location, if I can afford, then I'll go to those areas. If I cannot afford, this is my personal model. I go what is next to the prime location or the good location. Do you get my point? So for me, Philip, I can't afford East Legon land. So I'll go to East Legon Hills. Then I'll look at what is next to Hills for my future projects, right? So I'll go to Hills, the first part of Hills that is very close to East Legon. I'll develop that one first. Then I'll start buying in stages, right? So as this side becomes saturated, the first part, they'll move to the second part. I'll be there. They'll move to the third part. I'll be there. Do you get my point? So that is personally my strategy. Right. And I'll always get it relatively cheaper as I go a bit further. I'll drive 5-10 minutes to come to East Legon and play with the big boys. At this time,
that's wonderful. Let's take, I know lecturing, we're still going on, but let's take a brief moment and let's take some questions from our viewers who have tuned in via Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. Just a few comments. One person said on Zoom that, do you have any land, I guess, for sale? I guess you personally, I'm not sure.
Yep.
If you can't afford, or Anne said, if you can't afford all these expensive land for Cantonment and East Legon Hills, okay, you can't afford it. But like he said, location, location, location. You may not be able to afford these prime areas, but like he said, the real estate is moving in Ghana. I'm shocked. People are renting for, for dollars, in dollars, someone said, Amanfo Sachi said, these are lands that are being sold in Ghana. Why are we now quoting dollars as we do not earn dollars in Ghana? Are we trying to promote land sales in dollars in Ghana? Are we? Again, I don't know your take on that. If you want to answer that question, that'd be great.
So, Sachi, Bank of Ghana itself quotes dollars at times when it's selling stuff. So who am I, Philip, to also quote dollars when I'm selling stuff? And the point I'm making is this. If I'm selling to certain people who are more comfortable with one currency, if even pounds, it is easier to deal with them in the currency which they understand.
Right.
Because even till date, 2025, if I tell you 250,000 Ghana cedis, somebody will ask me, 80 billion, and I say,
Yes, that's true.
so to avoid all of that confusion, especially $1,000, then let's stick to the dollar, right? Then we have a play level field by which we're having a conversation. And once again, not every location is for everyone.
Yeah.
If you can afford, I fully understand, and it's fair, but it does not mean to that it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And if you're asking the question, who are you selling it to? People are buying.
Yeah. Wow. I hope, Mr. Sechi, that makes sense. It does make sense here as well. Like you said, you have to speak the people you're negotiating with language. Same language, you make sense if it's in dollars, if it's in cities, if it's in pounds. But that's not to say, I know even when it comes to land, it comes to even restaurants, a lot of places in Accra, they deal in dollars. We don't like it, but what can we do? Someone said, this is Basil. Basil said, when I'm ready to purchase some land, I will avoid Accra. It's overpriced and you won't find the best value for your money. What's your take?
I can understand that you avoid Accra, but to say it's overpriced compared to what? And if not finding best value for money, I beg to differ. This is why. I don't know where you want to go. Well, if you want to go to Mankesi, right? It's relatively cheaper. If you build a short stay over there, I don't know how much you'll be renting for. And the price of you building will be about the same. But then I can guarantee you that I'll build the same thing in East Legon Hills and rent much faster, and I'll break even, make profit whilst you are still trying to climb back. That one, no question about it.
Wow.
So when you talk about value, I beg to differ. Because here's the thing. The cost to develop in Konongo, let me give you the example because I know personally I tried it. The cost for me to develop in some part of Konongo, right, was costing me about the same, if not a bit more, than it cost me to develop in Accra. And I'm talking at that time, Pokuase. Because where they used to get the stones from, the quarry from, was a bit further. Therefore, cost of the quarry was more in that area than it was in Accra. But the land over there was relatively cheaper. When I was to rent, they were going to pay like what, 300 Ghana cedis for one bedroom. And I finished Pokwashe and I was taking 1,800 Ghana cedis for a 2-bedroom.
Wow.
Master, math is not math.
It's not.
So I don't see how it tells that a value for money there. Chairman value.
Wow. Okay.
But if you're by choice, you want to go somewhere else, it's perfectly fine. That one, yeah. I said it earlier. People do things for different reasons. So I won't call you on that.
Mr. George said the $1,000 is even reasonable.
Yeah.
Again, Mr. Basil also says that I lost the train of thoughts on that one. Let's see. Mr. Basil said, I'm sorry. I guess it's crowded. It's crowded. Can we address starting from acquisition of genuine lands? This is big part of real estate if we have the money.
I think there's been different presenters that has talked about the acquisition and then the legal processes and all of that. So, for the interest of time, I don't know how much time I have to go into all of that. The only thing is, please do your due diligence. Bottom line. The other thing also is there is the physical possession and the legal possession. You could have bought the land, right? You don't fence it, you don't do anything on it. Then somebody else also comes, try to claim ownership. At that point, test the land to begin with. Test the land. When you're done, take physical possession. Then you move on to the legal possession. Some people buy land, don't do anything on it. They start processing their documents. That takes over a year, right, to get your land title. So should anything happen in between? So first of all, do your due diligence. Secondly, test the land before you buy. after buying, take physical possession before you go for the legal possession.
It says Anne says because you can have the money, but you can't get litigation-free lands to buy. Okay, if you can't
But you
afford,
can.
yeah, you can. You said
You can. I'm selling some at East Legon Hills, the Santo area. If you're interested, litigation free. You buy, you take it, nobody comes to you. The
all
only thing
right,
is Vanguard for no to avoca. That's
and
it.
there you go.
Yeah.
She goes on to say, if you can't afford all these expensive lands for cantonment and East Legon Hills, I guess. These lands are Mr. Yeah, we read his questions. When I'm in Kra, yeah, it's overpriced, but he's already explained it. The $1,000 he said is even reasonable. Mr. Basil said, when you see land priced in dollars, that means the target market is international customers. Mr. Phillip, you already addressed it. You preach to the choir what the choir can understand. So if you are selling in dollars, if you are selling in euro, in pounds, those are your customers, right? And again, even in the States, when you are purchasing something, everything is what the lender is giving you. What you can afford is what the lender is giving you. It is what it is. Mr. Seth said, oh, $1,000 is very cheap for rent in a prime area. I remember back in 2013, the company I worked in Ghana was paying $7,000 for a 5-bedroom house in East Legon. 2013.
Yes. Oh, but I'm surprised you are surprised.
I am shocked. I am shocked.
When's the last time you went?
I go to Ghana. I'm one of those vacation people, but like I go and I
Family,
stay.
that is why.
I stay with family. You know what I'm saying? I stay with family home, but $7,000 for 5 years. But that was 2013. Someone said they paid $100 a night for a studio apartment. All right. Someone said, yes, so it's true. I went to Ghana last month. I rented an Airbnb. I paid $2,400 a month for an Airbnb.
But me Pacho, give me a second. Let me show you this, right? Just so people know that I'm not just, I work in the space. I have developments. I sell land. I have this apartment at Pokwase that 4 of them is on long lease. 2 of them is on short stay, right? I have this one. This is the interior of the Pokwase one. I have this one at East Legon Hills. It's a 10 unit. It has 2 bedrooms, 1 bedroom, and a studio, right? This is the interior of, this is the 1 bedroom, the bathroom, and the bedroom. I'm developing this one starting next month. That is a single family, semi-detached, where we're going to be selling, okay? So it's not like I'm just watching YouTube and giving you some presentation. I'm on the ground. I can tell you how much these ones rent for. Studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. So when I'm telling you that there's value in location versus Pokwase, how much I can take for a 2 bedroom, it's about the same as what I'm taking for a 1 bedroom at East Legon Hills. But of course, the land prices were not the same.
Right. It's here for as you see. Our viewers, listeners, Mr. Phillip is giving you all the knowledge about acquiring or investing in Ghana. But I guess let me finish some of these questions on here.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations on builders and contractors to use if planning to build? This is from Nana Boache. And how do you circumvent builders misusing funds or not building according to the plan discussed?
So first of all, the recommendation. I can recommend the developers that I use, right? The contractor that I use. I trust him. I know he'll do a good job. I can recommend that one. Outside of that, if you're working with anyone, regardless of who recommends, please do your due diligence. Ask them questions. Do not ever hesitate or think that I'm asking too much. It is your money that you're paying.
That's right.
Whatever measures you have to put in place, please do. It is not personal when I'm asking for pictures, videos, and receipts. But here's the thing on receipts. The Ghana system is set up such a way that it's difficult to trust someone. Let me say that.
Okay.
I was there myself when we were doing the East Legon Hills. Hey, I don't know if I can say this on there. I won't mention the person's name. But we went to the office to get our permit, right?
Mm-hmm.
We paid, I was there with the contractor. We paid 22,000 Ghana cedis. Receipted minus 7,000 Ghana cedis.
Come again?
Obaya attack Ghana, make a party for business.
Hey.
What's about it? So now, if you had sent someone to go and pay for something, and then they bring a receipt which is not equivalent to the amount, there has to be some level of trust for you to do any business in Ghana. Any business. If you don't trust that individual, don't do it, period.
Wow.
So now, here's the other thing too. And nobody is extreme, but it happens all the time. But because of the how fast prices rises in Ghana, cement price could be 60 Ghana today. By evening, it will be 65.
The same day.
Oh, busa pike ọkwa kwọsi sisi ka o jiri ọnụ ma ama esisa ya 3 times ọchọ ma na drop na ekọ soro.
So that's the thing though, because all these prices, what are they leveraging? Like, how are they, pricing these investment properties? Like, over here, we do comparisons, right? When you are about to sell a home, you find local areas, a recent home that has been purchased and how amount, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms. That's how we do comparisons in order to list someone's property. How are they pricing these homes so high? What is it based on?
So it's based on the comps.
The comps. Yeah, we do comps here, but yeah.
Yeah, it's based on the comps. So in Ghana also it's based on the comps. So, and I always say this, the value of anything is dependent on the one buying.
You're right.
If I tell you that I'm selling something for 50 Ghana cedis and you think it's worth 100, if you give me 100, I'll take. If you also think that no, it's not worth 50, it's worth 30, and the market says that it's worth 30, and no one is giving me my 50, I'll be forced to drop my price. So the value is always dependent on those buying. But when the comps are also showing that in this area, a 4-bedroom, 2 living rooms, let me say this. People are saying it's expensive, but their taste is not cheap.
That is true.
That is something that I always struggle, and I always try to be so nice when I have to address people on that. You come in, you want a porcelain tile, you want light on the stairways, you want 2 living rooms, right? Family area and a living room downstairs. You want 2 kitchens, the dry kitchen and the wet kitchen. You want a maid quarters, you want security area, you want all of this. You give me all these lists. And then I give you a price. Hey, nobody. Na me pacho, the orchid na fever. Right? And then even with the tiles, the hotel say, oh, we want Italian tiles. Hey, chairman, you want Italian tile, but you don't want to pay for Italian tile price. You want porcelain. Come on. Depending on what you want, you can have it. If you want basic finishing, fine. If you want a finishing with an apartment without air conditioning, a wahono. If you want air conditioning, open 2.5 horsepower. And soon peso betia. It doesn't.
It's not mathing. It's not mathing.
It's not mathing.
It's not mathing. We'll continue with some of the questions on here. On Zoom, I think it's NRGY says all about supply and demand. That's what drives the increase. That is very true. Mr. George says, can Philip elaborate on the 3 scenarios as the yearly totals does not add up based on the monthly rent presented for the 3 cases?
I think you were looking at some as dollars. The first 2 were in Ghana cedis. The last one was the only one in dollars.
Yes.
The rate is a bit old also, so I don't know if you noticed that. So yes, if you look at the currency right, and then you look at the rate, you realize that then you convert. That is what I did with those 2, right? But then the third one, because it's an area that was rented in dollars, everything stayed in dollars.
Wonderful. I guess Mama Salu said, do you consider areas like Adenta, Oyiribi, and Oyerefa a prime location for rental?
Oyibi, Oyerefa definitely is good. It's good, very good. But next to Chado, apart from the prime areas, right? Next to Chado, East Legon Hills is Oyarifa.
Okay.
And then Oyibi, it's okay. Oyibi is okay. Adenta is also relatively okay, but Adenta is an old town, right? So the older the place, sometimes it doesn't come with the fancy stuff and all of that. So yeah, Adenta is good.
And says,
Technically, East Legon Hills is under Adenta municipality,
okay.
some part of it, and then some part of it is under Katamansi. Sorry, go ahead.
And says a Cebu Pan Africa village is selling for $1,500 and it's developing fast. Okay. Agata says to become a real estate developer, how much land should you be buying to start with? I guess do your research, right?
You could buy half a plot and still start.
Half a
You can
plot.
develop any plot of land. So to be a developer, whatever you find, you can develop a start.
Okay. Williams iPhone says, do you technically own it or is it a lease? All 4 land I have purchased on its stated lease. Not quite sure.
Yeah, Accra right now is difficult to get freehold. So almost everything that you get will be on a leasehold.
Will be on a leasehold. Okay. It's Abelkuma. Don't mind me with my pronunciation, people.
I got you. Ablekuma.
Is Abelkuma Olebu a good place to build?
I'll dinner. I should tell you. No, Ablekuma is fine. Ablekuma, farm milk. The only thing is the roads are not really one of the best, especially Olebu area. When it rains, you guys have a lot of problems. So
Okay.
don't buy if you are yet to buy, don't buy during dry season. Go during the rainy season.
Just so you can visually see what it looks like when it rains.
Both the road area and then the land.
Because there's a lot of erosion. So, all right. Mr. Seth said, I'm more interested in lands on the mountains like Aburi. What's the growth rates in terms of land appreciation and developing for renting?
Rent is not as fast in Aburi. Short stay is relatively okay. But then like selling, right? It's also very good. Okay. And Aburi is one area that attracts a lot of the diasporans.
Yes.
And African Americans.
Yeah.
Therefore, the rate of appreciation in Aburi is fast. No, fast is understatement. It's very fast.
Wow.
Yeah. And they will pay, right? They come because of the weather, the view and everything. They will pay. Therefore, the locals are also selling like very expensive in terms of the land because they know that people are buying and building and selling thousands of dollars. So why should I be selling the land cheap?
Mr. Richard said, I think with all that prices, I think designs are also important. Like now, people are now going to good use of space, which like 100 by 100 feet can give you an estate, which I do for my clients with my over 2 years of experience in the field. You can DM me if you want to. Okay, so I guess he's saying people are more conscious of space as well, because sometimes you have a half a plot, but depending on the design, you can get your money's worth. So yes, that's a very good idea, Mr. Richard. Thank you. Rich, level of investment depends on your level of surplus funds. So the more you have, the more you have, the more options you can explore. That's very true. Test the land. What type of test? Someone said you said to test the land. What kind of test do they have to test?
Okay, so there are different ways. First of all, you want to go there at different times during the day, during the week, to ask the people around who owns this land. That is one. Two, when they also give it to you, the cheapest material, building material, maybe stone or sand, go for one trip, go and put it on there. The owner will come.
Nice. Does this brother have a website? Do you have a website or anything to see what properties he's selling? Okay. What's the price of the one? I guess the stuff that you showed. What's the price of the one you're selling at East Legon? Laurencia wants to know that. Mr. Basil also says, does this brother have exactly what I said? Zoom Lion Ghana Limited, please, with regards to company renting people, do they have their commissions inside? But if it's I'm not quite sure what the question is saying, but you know what? Let's unmute for now. I would love to hear from some of our guests who have joined us today. Please, if you have some questions, because time is fast approaching, I didn't realize we were having so much fun in learning and investing in Ghana. Bottom line, go invest in Ghana. We're going to unmute everyone. So if you have questions, please feel free to come on and ask your questions politely. And if you're not talking, kindly mute your microphone. So at this time, we'll take some questions. Any questions from our audience? If not, I will continue to ask from the Zoom. How much is your Hills land selling for? Mr. Paul Chum Barima wants to know.
So I'll answer that plus the other question too. So the Hills land is selling for $38,000. And then the house, the single family house, is a 4-bedroom, 2 bathrooms, 2 kitchens, outdoor entertainment area, all of that. That is selling for $230,000.
All right, so I
Those
guess
are the 2 I have for sale. Everything else I'm renting. So
okay. All right. iPhone said, boss, for pricing is crazy. I went to Ghana in 2023. I decided to lodge in La Palm Beach Hotel. The price changed 3 times. That is insane. Who's regulating these things? Like how?
the dollar is regulating it. When the dollar is changing like 4 times in a day.
But if you've set your price on a certain amount, why should I have to be penalized for booking it at that time? You see, that's what makes abroad different from Ghana. If I book, the price I booked it for should be locked in.
Yeah, for me, I don't do that though. Now, if you even book today for October, you're paying like the price now, and that's it.
That's a good customer service. Yes. Mr. Samuel said, brief us about the source of finance if you don't have enough money to start.
Start which one?
I guess
are you
start
going
with
in as a developer or
building,
as just buying a property?
Buying, investing, wherever you can direct them.
Okay. So the bank. It sucks to say, but that is the well-known source of finance, right? In Ghana, the interest rate is crazy. And once again, I understand, but it's difficult. You're talking about 20-something% interest rate. If you go for a dollar loan, it may be less. So yes, you can go through the bank. The other thing is also you can form a syndicate. So a couple of friends, you come together and then you do a joint venture. I know Ghanaians, we typically don't like that, but that is another source of financing. So either you come together as friends or you go through the bank or you look elsewhere and then raise the funds.
Hey, friends apart, and then bring me. You're trusting friends aside. Okay.
If you don't trust your friends, then I don't know why you call them friends.
I tell you, when it comes to money, the friends can change quick to an enemy. Let's move on to iPhone 8. What about Ajay Kotoku?
Ajay Kotoku is also, it's by Kutunse, right? So as I mentioned, Kutunse, add that to the quadrant, but Kutunse is more expensive than Ajay Kotoku.
Okay, host is real with points. You want expensive, you have to pay more. That is right. What you get, you have to, is what you invest in is what you get back. You can start real estate with a quarter plot. Interesting. That's what Ann said. Jab said, yep, land is expensive now at Abri. If you need some, kindly DM me. Thanks. That's from Mr. JAB Jab. Yemi, it should be stated that there are inherent risk. It should be stated where?
You're trying to say I should say that the inherent risk? That comes with any business. So it goes without saying, right? I get your point. Yes, it goes without saying that there is an inherent risk with business. So thanks for bringing it up.
Yep. Joyce said this is so educative. Thank you, Joyce. Join us next week, same time. Someone said they cannot mute their microphone. Okay. Nanaya says, My husband travels back and forth between Ghana and the US. We have a condo we rent at Airport Residential for $2,000 a month. We've occupied this flat for about 3 years now and feels like our second home. We've been able to negotiate it down to $1,700 monthly now. The flat is selling for 300K, 300,000 if you want to buy. We are still working on our own people at Pram. We are still working on our own people at Pram, but because of the amenities this rental offers, it will be hard for us to transition when we complete our property. What are your thoughts on developing at Pram?
It really depends on what you want. Airports will not give you the waterfront. At Pram, you can get waterfront. Airport will give you proximity to the airport itself, to fancy places, fine dining, business meetings, and all of that. At Pram, you're a bit further out. So anytime you have to have a business meeting, come to town for anything, you got to deal with the traffic, the drive, the bad roads.
Again,
So proximity, right?
location,
Proximity, location.
Mm.
So Pram itself is not bad. Those areas are also picking up, but definitely not anything close to some of these areas mentioned. But it
So
has its perks. But
from what I'm saying, location and your preference. Some people want beachfront, but you have to take the risk of travel, right, into consideration. It's pretty, but it's not the city.
right.
That's what I heard.
Hello?
Okay. iPad2 said, "Hi, you have everyone on mute. I guess the microphone is on mute. We would love for people to chime in. Let me go to Mr. Richard. Mr. Richard, are you able to unmute yourself to ask your question? Mr. Richard? Okay, how about NRG, Narji? Are you
Hello?
able? Hello, hi.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, welcome. Where are you talking
Thank
from? Can you
you.
tell us the state, your name, please?
I'm in actually a city, not a state.
Okay.
I'm in Canada.
Canada, wonderful. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right.
So, something that I heard you guys mention is getting a loan from the bank,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
So I am a diasporan
Okay.
and I've been traveling to Ghana for the past like 3 years now.
Mhm.
So I actually purchased a property and I wanted to possibly get a loan in Ghana opposed to using their using like paying through their what would I say? Their loan agreement. If I could get the money from the bank, it might be cheaper to get to pay back the bank, if you understand what I mean.
So are you looking
Mhm.
for a loan abroad to make this purchase, or are you looking for a loan in Ghana to do this investment?
Yes, in Ghana to do the investment.
Okay,
So
Mr.
I was
Philip,
wondering if, like, what are the possibilities?
Mr. Philip, is this possible?
Yeah, some banks do have loan facilities for non-Ghanaians, and you have to meet certain requirements. So you just may want to shop around and do some due diligence as to which one you want to go with based on the interest
Okay.
rates and stuff.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're very
Mhm.
welcome. Thank you for tuning in. We'll meet
Oh,
again.
sorry, and it's energy.
Energy. I see NRGY. So, okay, energy. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your
No problem.
question. All right, Mr. Richard, if you are on mute, kindly ask your question away. State your name and the place that you are calling from or tuning in from. You're on mute. You can unmute, and we can't hear you. No, we can't hear you.
Hi.
Hi, now we can.
Okay. Yeah. So, my question has to do with I have a property at Bumbalishin and one at Dinkribi, somewhere in the Ibri Kitasi there. I want to know in terms of developing currently, which one will he advise that I develop? Bombalishi and Adinkribi. That is Ebri Kitaside.
So to clarify, Pombaleshi is by the
Dodua Road.
Dodua Road.
Yeah. And Adinkribi is after, when you get to Kitasi, the road that goes to it can get to Insawam. That's
okay.
It can get to
it will take you
Palinya.
to behind in some prisons.
No. It will take you to Ashasi University.
Oh, Brekuso.
Brekusu, exactly. From Kitasi to Brekusu Road.
Okay.
Like 20 minutes drive from Kitasi on that road.
Depending on what is going on in either area, right? It's a bit difficult for me to say exactly where to go right now, because even though Kitasi is very close to Ebri is in high demand, but it's also which part of Ebri. And I know that some parts that is from Brekusu to Ebri to Sawam, towards the valley, is not as fastly developed. It's not developing as fast as the Shell area, where Kufuor is, where is it the J president? There's an African president in that area, right? Those areas are the fastest growing area. So it depends. Dodowa also, it's good. Dodua, if you're especially on the right side of the main road, that area is faster and that area is good. So really it depends on what is going on in the enclave. If there is more development, if the roads are better, I'll look at those instead of just the bigger picture. I hope that helps.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Richard. You forgot to tell us where you were calling from or tuned in from, but thank you for your question. iPhone, you have your hand raised if you have a question. I know we're trying to beat time right now, but iPhone, you have your hand raised if you don't mind unmuting and asking your question. Okay. Yes. iPhone.
Yeah, I think I asked the question, and I'm calling from Georgia, Atlanta.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. If you have your hands raised, go ahead. Feel free. Unmute. Mr. Charles Aday, if you don't mind, unmute and you can ask your question. State your name.
Yeah, my name is Charles Adai. I have a property at Obom area, and I didn't hear anything about. Maybe I was working, I didn't hear everything that he said. So I just want to know if that place is also have future. As he was mentioning some, vital places that is very good for a real estate. I just want to ask him if he has a little idea about that place.
Which side of town is that?
Obom area. I think it's a Amasamai area. Getting to.
I don't know. Then it's really deep. Okay. Is it by like Ashalaja or?
Yeah, that side.
Okay.
Yeah.
That place is. If it's towards Odoko, you can use that road towards Odoko or towards Kaswa.
Yeah.
Right? So if it's closer to Odoko, then it may be good. If it's more towards Ashalaja, you can still develop, but that place is not there yet. If you can wait.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. Any more questions?
Thank you too. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Tune in same time. Every Monday, we are here with the time of TapTap Send every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Any more questions? If you've already asked your question, please kindly put your hand down. But let's go to Mr. Bismarck. You can unmute and ask your question, Mr. Bismarck.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm calling from Canada.
Wonderful.
So I have a property in Asamankese in the Eastern region. It's been there for years. I mean, my parents has been putting pressure. I have to start developing, but I don't know how to start. My greatest fear is like family members starting it for me because for one or two reasons I can't go back home in the next until 5 years time, and I have the money, right? But I am afraid. So I need you guys and an advice on what to do and how to get all started. I don't even know how to start. That's my first point. I don't know how to start. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Bismarck. Mr. Paul, do you have any direction for our dear brother?
So in terms of how, you got to gather the right people, right? The right resource people, like the right artisans. So you need an architect, you need a contractor who will build it, since you don't want to deal with family, which I understand. So you just got to get the right people, and then also look at the area to see if it's ready for what you want to do. Some areas may be ready for an apartment, some areas may be ready for short stay, some areas may be ready for commercial, right? Like stores, stuff like that. So just evaluate. Once you get that, then you can get the right people to do the project for you.
I guess some people always struggle with who to trust. So, I mean, if you are asking specifically for contacts, maybe we can, you can reach out to us like back end, and we can give you a few list of people, because that can sometimes help. And then you can interview them and make sure you go with the right person. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Philip, what do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. All right, let's go to Rafia. Rafia, if you don't mind, ask your question. State your name and where you're calling from. Rafia. Okay, let's go to Emma. Emma, you have your hands up. Please unmute and ask your question.
Thank you so much. The name is Emmanuel.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Richard. Mr. Richard, we are most actually I'm calling from New Jersey.
Okay.
Mr. Richard, we are most grateful for your good insight.
Rafia, give me 1 second. I'll come back to you shortly.
We are most grateful for your insight given to us this evening, and also we are most grateful to our dear sister. My question is just, I think all this analysis is basically based on, is centered around Greater Accra, and my question is geared towards Ashanti region. With regards to Ashanti region, which area do you think it will be best if you want to invest into estate development, as like the areas that you think when you are doing and then you want to put some investment there, which of the areas do you think will be the best area for us to do it? Thank you very much.
Yeah, Brahima, Ashanti region is one place I've not invested in. So I'll be unfair to you to tell you which area. That is the fact of it. But then the principles that I used in this presentation, though I used Greater Accra as, the case study, if you apply the principles almost anywhere in the world, it works. Right? Almost anywhere.
Wonderful. All right, let's go to Rafia. Thank you so much for your question. Rafia, go ahead and unmute.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having the talk. I was just wondering, is there any like legit website or something that you can go to, just to kind of search for properties? Or and then the second part of my question is there any like particular investments that are better than others, or is it just real estate you guys focusing on? Like, is there other ways you're looking to develop Ghana?
Well, right now, today's segment is focusing on real estate investments, but there's definitely a whole lot of investments in Ghana. We probably have to do more research or do a topic on specific ones, but we'll definitely talk back end later. But yes, Mr. Philip, do you want to answer her first question?
I'll try to work my screen. So what was the first one?
Her first one was how does she get the real estate, right, Rafia?
Oh, the website.
The website.
Really, I would say that just do your research and then do your background check.
Yeah, there are a lot of different websites out
there. Because but this is why. Because of all that is going on, I don't want to throw out a name of a website and then something happens that is like, oh, HRET told me to go here and this happened, right?
Yes.
So if I am personally involved, then I'll tell you that yes. But the ones I'm involved is the one I do.
Is there any like government, like official government sites though? Like where you can purchase land or no regulation whatsoever?
Yeah, I want to ask, my question has to do with those of us in diaspora. Okay. I look through GG and this advert on this sites. I want a land to buy. How can I go about this 419 guys and fraud guys who you buy the land, you pay, and happens that it is fraud? How will we go about it?
Yeah, you always have to research into them. There are some people that are selling, but they are fronting. So to the best of their knowledge, they're doing a genuine job, right? To be fair to them. But then the people at the back end will mess them up and then make them look like they're fraud, right? So you always want to do your due diligence as to the credibility of one, the one fronting, and two, the who actually owns it. I've sold land for people before, and before I add my name to it because I don't want to be like what I flip crap, right? So I did the research on behalf of the people that are going to buy. Then if you buy through me, I know that your land is going to be safe. And I go to Ghana very often. And anytime anyone that I've sold or led in buying anything, anytime I go to Ghana, I make sure that I make rounds on all these properties just to lay eyes on them myself. Though I do have people on the ground that also does that periodically. But then I want to personally, and I'll go and I'll take a picture and send it to you as I send it to the honor. What do I say? So if I'm involved personally, yes. But outside of that, because of some of the things that happens, I'm really hesitant referring or, telling one or two.
Well, since you have some properties that are up, for rental, I know Rafia, going back to Rafia's question, maybe you can advertise the properties that you currently have that's for rent if someone is interested. And also, those who are tuning in today, we do have a WhatsApp group. You can always join our WhatsApp platform. We'll post the link on the page. We have a WhatsApp platform that we can carry on these questions and concerns. If you have any questions that you need answered, you can actually go and join that platform. I think that might help you a lot.
And I'm also on that platform. So if you have any questions for me, if you send it there, I can answer.
Yes. So please join the platform, the WhatsApp group, and it is called His Royal Empire Family. His Royal Empire Family on WhatsApp. It's a group that's, offsets from this segments that we do here on every Monday. You can join that WhatsApp platform. All right, Lady Smart, I believe you have your hand up. Please kindly unmute and ask your question.
Is it me?
Lady Smart? Okay, Fatih, if you are talking, go ahead and ask your question if you have a question.
Okay, mine is a contribution. Fortunately, I've worked in Ghana in a couple of district assembly and the RCC, that's the Regional Coordinating Council. And it gave me the chance to liaise with a couple of fiscal planning and the lands commission. So I would advise that most of you can resort to the district assembly, fiscal planning offices or the land offices. Most of the time, they have access to the lands as well as the stood lands. So they can advise appropriately, then you can make a choice because it's a bit safer there. They can buy for you, you buy the land, and they'll make sure they get all the documentation done for you. For example, I bought almost a 3 acre of land, which is a farmland in Sunyani because I was working in Sunyani. I've been able to go through the chief to do the paperwork, went through the land commission to do the paperwork, and they directed me to the district assembly, which I did the paperwork. Now I'm left to come back to the land commission to finalize it with the lease document. So if I'm able to go through all these things and get my paperwork done in the near future, even if I'm dead and I have family members, they can use the paper and go vie for that land and take it. So this is what I would advise. Most of the times you don't have genuine people who will help you. Genuine people will not help you to get all the paperwork done, because if you have the paperwork, you can easily litigate whenever the need arises. Yeah, this is the little thing I want to say. So please, could you put the WhatsApp group
Yep, we will do
on the
that.
chat so that we
Yes.
can just click straight, because I am not on it.
No problem. We'll put
Thank
that
you.
link on WhatsApp on the chat, please. Mr. Friends, thank you so much, Sister Fatih.
You're
Thank you for your
welcome.
contribution. Mr. Francis, you have your hand raised. If you can.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you. So just want to find out. The places is shown as the East Legon. Those areas are almost like getting choked now. There's a new development area going to those areas. Will he advise that those areas in the new, because whatever we're saying today, we have to be looking at the future. If Accra area is choked in the near future, will he think that if we get proper places at our area today, will it be good? Looking at his technical things he's doing, will he advise that we should go to our area also? Because there the land is a bit cheaper there than where he's talking of now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Francis.
Yeah, Mr. Francis, so Mathaiko, Tokpo, Dawa, those areas, yes. You remember I mentioned that you always want to buy where the development is going, right? And you also want to buy in mind when you want to develop. Right? So yes, you can definitely go to Dawa. You can go to, any of those places. Actually, I have a friend that is selling at Dawa, near Central University. So if you're interested in that area, when you reach out to us in the chat room, I can give you his contact. That one, I know him personally. I've sold some for him also, and you're good on that one. So Dawa is also fine.
All right, time is time is against us. So I'm trying to get through these questions and also get to the people who have their hands raised. Mr. Salu. Actually, I'm so sorry. Salu, Mama. If you don't mind going unmute, let's keep the questions straightforward, please, and thank you.
Hi, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For this session. You're doing a great job. We have a question. We actually have a property in OEB.
Mm-hmm.
We've had it almost 10 years ago. But the problem we have is all the tenants that are in the house, they are not keeping the place. So anytime their rent is due, we give it to them for a year, and we end up using the money to renovate the place and all that. That's what we've been doing. We don't even have a fiscal money from that property. And it's a very nice location. It's a property we got from a company called CAS. It's a gated community. It has gym. It has pool. It's got all the facilities that will be very, very good for investment or whatever purpose. And we are not making anything from it. So we are thinking of changing it to Airbnb. It's a 3-bedroom house. I don't know whether it's advisable for us to do that, looking at the location.
Okay, wonderful. Mr. Philip, would you help our dear sister out with this question? I guess location. So take it away.
So 2 parts to that. Yes, please check with the developers, right? If they have a management company, check with the management company to make sure they allow for Airbnb in that community. Not everyone does. So that is 2. If your people are not taking care of it, this is what I do. I take security deposits of 2 months. 3 months if you so choose. I do take security deposit of 2 months, and also I do take management. I take service fee, right? So the service fee takes care of the common lights and all of mine is an apartment. It takes care of the common lights and all common spaces, cleaning, all of that. Then the
Mr.
security
Francis, if you don't
deposit
mind
should at
muting
the
your
end of.
phone, Mr. Francis, if you don't mind muting for us, please. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Phillip.
Yeah, I go process. So the security deposit also helps at the end of their rental, right? If it's a year, if should there be any damages, then you use that to offset it, because in Ghana, it's difficult to chase people when they already left. There's no credit system, therefore they can just up and leave. I had one tenant who left in the middle of the night. So that also happens, right? So you put measures in place to make sure that you are also protected. Here's another thing. For those who say that it's expensive, typically, not always the case. Typically, those that rent in more expensive areas are less likely to damage your property. Check it out. Or buy it.
Wow. Wait, can you just repeat what you said? I heard it, but I want you to put it on repeat.
Those who rent in more expensive areas are less likely to damage your properties.
And that's a fact. Money talks. If you are paying 5K and you are putting down first, last, and security, 5K, you best believe you are not going to destroy this property because you're going to lose your security. So yes, I definitely concur on that one. I agree. All right. Thank you so much, Mama Salu. I hope you that answered your question. All right, let's go down to Mr. Collins. Mr. Collins, unmute, state your name and the state or the country you're calling from, please. Mr. Collins? All right. Time is not on our side. We're going to move on. Mr. Felix, do you still have your hands up? You have a question? An iPhone, you have your hands up. If you don't mind unmuting and asking your question. Time is fast approaching. Unfortunately, I know you love this topic for today's segment. Investing in Ghana, real estate investments in Ghana. I hope this has been knowledgeable and informative to you all. If you have any more questions, contribution, please unmute and kindly ask away. McLean is on. If you just raised your hand, if you don't mind unmuting and asking your question. I know you have your hands up. McLean?
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Please, my question is, yeah, I'm McLean, and I'm also speaking from Canada.
Okay.
My question is, looking at how the system is programmed in North America, like when someone wants to like invest into the real estate, but that person doesn't actually have the like an actual capital to start like everything, or maybe to own a full property, but maybe that person has something little he can also what invest into it to own just a small portion of what that particular property. But I just want to know if that thing also works in Ghana, if maybe they have some kind of thing like that. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, so there are different models. There are developers where you could buy a unit, right? And that becomes yours. So that one is there. And there's a lot more of those. There are a few also where they have the fund system. So yes, we're developing X, we're raising capital for this, and this will be your share. There's that also.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. Again, we have put in the chat the link for the WhatsApp group. So any questions regarding today's program or any questions or concerns you may have regarding Ghana, TapTap Send, of course, kindly, click the link in the chat and join us on the WhatsApp platform. Miss Andrea, I believe you have your hands up. You can chime in, unmute, state your name and where you are calling from, please. Andrea? Andrea Bremsey. Okay. All right, we'll go back to iPhone or the
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'm sorry.
It's okay. How
I
are
was having a problem unmuting, but I'm good.
Mhm.
My name is Andrea.
Mr. Collins, if you don't mind, give me 1 second, mute, and then we'll come right back to you. Andrea, go ahead.
My name is Andrea. I'm calling from the States in Ohio. And my question is, he said he has something. Where is it if it's land?
It's land at East Legon Hills.
Mr. Collins, give me 1
Sound is
second,
not
please.
coming.
I'll come back to you.
And what's the size of it?
70 by 100 approximately.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome, Andrea. Please join the WhatsApp platform and ask your questions right after the show. If you have more questions or concerns, the chat, the link has been placed into the chat. So please join us on the WhatsApp platform. Mr. Collins, back to you.
But before Mr. Collins speaks, do you mind me taking like a minute break? I'll be right back.
Sure, no problem. Mr. Collins, your question, please.
All right. Thank you, host. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I'm in Chicago. My question is very simple. If you had, let's say, like 200,000, 250,000 cash today, would you consider like buying a property here in the US versus buying a property in Ghana in terms of ROI? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. As a realtor in the States myself, I will take upon this question and we will wait for Mr. Philip to also join us to give us his input. So it's all about return, yes. If I had $200,000 cash, for me, I would invest here in the States first. Unless you already have a property here in the States already. However, for me, what I see from a real estate perspective, you would get your returns fast here in the States. Again, Mr. Philip did say that it all depends on location in Ghana. I believe you're speaking from Ohio. Now, we would do an assessment of Ohio. What type of property do you want to buy? Are you buying a 3-family, a multi-family? Are you building from scratch? Are you buying several rentals? $200,000 will get you maybe a 1-family unit. I'm not quite sure of the real estate in Ohio, but a 200K, let's say you can buy a single family. I'm not sure about multi-family, but you can buy a condo or a single family, rent it out. I believe you would get that return here in the state quickly and safely, I think, not to deter from the investment in Ghana. 200,000 Ghana cities, $200,000. What Mr. Philip had said earlier was that location matters. You can buy a plot of land in East Legon, Cantonment, or wherever these lucrative lands are in Accra. However, you still have to develop it. Right? You have to use another capital to develop this land that you just bought in a high return neighborhood. So location matters, but for me, I'm going to be biased today. I will be biased to say that if you want a return quickly for your $200,000 cash value, invest in Ohio, the state that you are in, or come to Massachusetts, or reach out to me as I have a lot of network everywhere in the country, US and Canada, wherever you are. I can get you in touch with one of my people and they can help you. So Mr. Philip, the question was, if I have $200,000 cash, physical cash, would you recommend that I invest here in the States or Ghana based on the fast return? Like which one would I yield the fastest return on? Investing here in the States, in Ohio to be precise, or in Ghana? Take it away.
It really depends on your motivation for investment. If it's just on returns, right? Money, 100%. It also depends on where you want to do it. Like, once again, Ghana here, fair. But here's the thing. Let's do a quick math, right?
Here's the catch. Listen up.
Here's the thing. You could invest $200,000 in an apartment in Ghana and get 10 to 14% easily, right? If you could get that here, do it.
I like how you kind of, went around that question and answered it, but it's all good. I hope that answered your questions. But you can come on again if you are not clear on that. But yeah, I mean, we're all looking for, yield on our returns here versus Ghana. Yeah, we want you to invest in Ghana, but it's not bad to invest here either. So let's take another question, Mr. iPhone. You still have your hand raised?
Yeah. My question goes to Mr. Philip. I'm calling from New Jersey. My name is Eric.
Hello, Mr. Eric.
Yeah. I was trying to purchase a house in East Legon Hills. That was I think 2 years back, but we had a program just like this, and then they brought the investor, the real estate investor who has the burden, and I think they have teamed up with a bank in Ghana called FNB Bank, and then we had a discussion with them, and then according to them, they will give you the money. They quoted the burden is $150,000. And they say you have to pay $30,000, and then the bank will give you $120 to make it $150. When you put down the $30,000, then the bank will give you will add the $120, and then they give you the key of the property. But when I try to go along to do that, to purchase the apartment, they were asking me of credit score, whether I have a house, whether I've already got a mortgage over here in the United States, and all couple of things. And I said, why did you use credit score in Ghana? Because in Ghana, you don't use credit score. So why somebody want to purchase a house, then you bring in credit score? So I don't get it. So I want Mr. Philip to, answer this my question for me. Whether you people ask for those things, credit score, or whether if you own a property here, you cannot buy one in Ghana. Whether if you have a mortgage here, you cannot buy one in Ghana. That's what I want to know.
I'll try to answer your question, but I don't work for that company, so I don't really know the full rationale behind their operations. But generally, this is where the thinking may be coming from. If you are credit worthy in the country where you reside, then based on that, I may be able to trust you that you also fulfill your obligations here, right? Or when I give you money. So I think that may be why they're asking and also trying to see your tidings and all of that, so that they can say that, okay, based on this, then if I give you X, you may be worthy also. Because, in Ghana, it's difficult. I'm one of those that will tell you that I don't like borrowing from Ghana because the interest rate is very high. But I can fully understand why they also do that, because it's difficult to really recover your money. Really difficult. You came from Canada or Ohio, you come and then you tell me, oh, you're buying land, I should give you for 30 years, whatever. I give it to you, and then you go, I don't see you again. What do I do?
It's tough. Yeah. I wish we had a better system of tracking, and that's why I think what works for us here and, abroad is your social security number. We can trace you. That is your identity. When it comes to Ghana, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they use as an identity. I don't know what they use as collaterals. I don't know how it works, but these are all the things we need to probably do further research on.
Yeah, so they're working on that system, the credit score system. They're working on it, but of course, it's not going to be anytime, within a year or two.
Okay.
I hope it is, but I don't know.
Yes.
But if you live in Ghana, what they use as collateral is what you also have. So if I have a land somewhere and I want a loan, they use that, right? Yeah. But then if you're coming from outside, look at it this way. If I'm a Ghanaian, and I come to the States and I tell America, whatever institution, that, oh, I have this building in Ghana, so give me this amount of money. How easy is that? Or I come with no credit and I tell them that, oh, I want to buy this house, right? So if America will not allow you, or if they're going to take anything from Ghana, then they're going to ask a ton of questions, right? So if Ghana is also doing the reverse, then we should see some wisdom in it.
Yeah. Well, we thank you so much. Okay, Sebi's iPhone. All right, let's take these last two questions and let's continue chatting on the WhatsApp platform. Miss Sebi, if you don't mind, Sebi, if you don't mind, put your hands down and ask your questions right away.
All right, I'm not asking a question. I just wanted to answer his question for
Wonderful.
reason they asked for credit score. So, and reason they ask if you have a mortgage here in the United States. So it all comes down to how much you make over here. So let's say you make $3,000 a month, right? You have a mortgage of $1,500. You want to get a mortgage of $200,000 in Ghana. Obviously, you can't pay for it. So they look into your debt to income ratio to get that calculation done. And just to make it clear, Ghana does have a credit system.
Oh.
Yeah. So in case maybe you took a loan before you left Ghana and did not pay for it, if you want to get a mortgage, they will get you. Yeah. So I just wanted to answer that question for him.
That's good to know. Thank you so much. That's really good to know. Maybe they have a system that we aren't privy to, but definitely whatever company that you, that you had that issue with, I think you probably may want to ask them further questions and do your research. Everything is about due diligence, right? You take on the responsibility of inquiring the information, investigating, doing your own knowledge about the projects at hand before you even dive into it. But any more questions? I know I wasn't able to ask all the questions that most of you posted, but I hope we can continue the chat off this platform and continue it on WhatsApp. Mr. Philip is a part of that WhatsApp chat group. We did put the link in the chat, so please join us on WhatsApp even after this. Again, we want to say thank you so much, Mr. Philip. I know time is fast approaching. We'll continue this conversation again. You still have to convince me as to why I need to invest in Ghana. I've heard it all. Location, location, location. But I don't have the location money. I like expensive taste, but I ain't got the, So I guess the only option is to find a remote village area that's affordable and build one, a family size building for yourself. And if you don't mind traveling and staying in that long traffic to Accra, hey, at least you get to live in your dream home, right, Mr. Philip?
Life is full of choices.
Everyone,
your bed is how you sleep on it.
That is so true. But don't worry. Eventually, we'll own a piece of those East Legon and high lucrative area cantonment and all those other places that are, I guess there's no more land there, period, right? Unless someone is actually selling their property. Then you can acquire something like that from that area.
I said this to a friend of mine who was like, Masa, asasu baby, I didn't hear.
That is so true. Money does talk. So it all depends. It's true. If I had $1 million right now, cash in my hand, and I want to go to East Legon and buy a land, I'm sure somebody will give me that land because I got the money. So
where Despite just built his museum was a whole complex. There's land in Accra.
Wow.
Lizzie Sports Complex is where Despite just built the museum.
Wow.
So there's land in Accra.
So that's to say, win that jackpot, people.
But really, here's the thing. It's true, but on a lighter note. But on a more serious note, you don't have to go where you can't. Right? Go the next town, go to the next village, go to the next, right? Like look for where you can afford and also be comfortable considering everything else. Don't force yourself, right? Yeah, don't stress.
Well said. Don't force yourself. Cut your coat according to your size. That's the bottom line.
Your clothes, because your size in the area, I don't want to mind.
Again, Mr. Frank, I know you have your hands raised. Last question before we end this segment. But again, we're going to stay on and discuss further about TapTap Send, new things that we are doing, the wallet system. Again, this program is being sponsored by TapTap Send. We thank you all so much for continuing to support HRE TV. Mr. Frank, go ahead and ask your question.
All right. So can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So my question is this. What is the what is the average price? And so I have like property in Dansoman, Accra, pretty much like central, right? So right now, if somebody wants to go from either UK, Canada, or the US, I'm in the US, by the way, in Maryland. So typically I'm charging like $60 a night. What do you think is the average like charge for a day? I don't want to do Airbnb because it's my private home, but I also want to kind of let it out when people come on short vacations. So what do you think is the average pricing for an area like that?
So I would say look at the market. I don't do business in Dansoman, so I really don't know. And I haven't researched that location specifically. So I don't want to be unfair to you, right? But then check the market and then it will give you an idea.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Philip, with everything. And to all our listeners and viewers today, we want to say a big thank you. Mr. Philip, thank you so much for joining us this evening on TapTap Send HRE TV. It has been very informative. And if you have more questions, even after the show, please join us on WhatsApp. The chat has been posted on the link has been posted in the chat, so please kindly join using that link that has been posted on the chat. Again, thank you so much, Mr. Philip, for joining us, and we will continue to discuss this topic as we take a break from our sponsors. We'll talk about TapTap Send, the new addition to TapTap Send, what we are doing. We'll hear from our directors of TapTap Send. We want to say thank you to them for even sponsoring this whole topic that we continue to do every week, every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Again, thank you all so much, and please stay on the line and let's continue the chat of TapTap Send. Let's take a quick break and we'll be back.
My chef and party planner. You know we can't get this retirement/birthday shinding go wrong.
Everything is almost ready, but small problem.
Alright, what's up?
We are way over budget, Kweku. Everything is almost twice the estimate.
Adibab, okay? No worries. So with TapTap Send, I have got a cake and decorations covered from here. You handle the food. If any extra expenses comes up, just text me or call me. I'm off today, so I should be easily reachable.
Hey, Chairman, it is for day.
Say, no be easy, you. Chairman has time and money.
Allah,
Kweku tap, Kweku do, Kweku that.
Ah, Chairman can follow.
Hey, Alande.